Hello, good people.
Do I have a surprise?
Good people.
Look where I'm at.
What's up, guys? I'm Dimitri. Micro ITX, the case. What? Two systems. Mistake.
Brad is on.
And now, well, hello, good people. Wow. What's up, guys? Hello, good people. I'm Dimitri. Welcome to the Case Awards of 2018. You know, I feel like the case market has redeemed itself this year based on the disappointment that was 2017. I feel like new trends are emerging that I'm excited about, and 2019 is looking kind of a mystery. Like, I can see certain things becoming more mainstream and more popular, but then a large portion of that remains a mystery. So I'm excited. Now, some 27 cases have passed through the studio. There's some good options in there, my friends, some good options.
The new Master Liquid ML AIO liquid coolers from Colormaster come in both 120 and 240mm variants, now with addressable RGB LEDs, both for the fans and the pump, that can be controlled via this hub with options to adjust the lighting effects and speed, along with the ability to control them through the respective motherboard software. Check out the ML120 and ML240R AIOs down below.
As usual, the rules are simple. The cases must have been released and reviewed by us in 2018, and I make sure to double check all the availability as well, because in our last Case Awards video for 2017, the Define R6 won the Case of the Year, yet it was not yet available until like January, so none of that this year. Alright, I hope you enjoy. The categories for this Case Awards are my favorite case, the best overall value case, the most innovative case, best water cooling enclosure, the WoW collection of features, the fan favorite failed compilation, and of course, we gotta conclude with the Case of the Year. Woo! Alright, let's begin. Alright, so let's start off with something fun. My favorite Case of the Year came on April 1st. This tiny wooden case you construct yourself from Colormaster. I feel like this should legitimately become a thing for more brands. If you're the type of person to collect unique items when it comes to PC building, like the detail on the cooler, the drives, the motherboard tray is kind of insane, and is definitely something any builder will appreciate. As for my real favorite case of the year, this easily goes to the new NZXT H500. So this is a replacement for the S340 that was one of the best-selling cases on Amazon, and the H500 is a nice compact mid-tower with that usual NZXT character. It's boxy, it's full metal frame, a very nice TG mount. The interior layout is perfect for most systems, whether you're air cooling or installing a 240 rat at the front, with actually pretty decent airflow too, with that side ventilation despite the fully solid front panel. I do appreciate the plastic cable management channels, the perforated power supply shroud, the all-in-one front I/O connector, and purple USB ports, and for 69 bucks you should definitely consider the NZXT H500. And the only crappy thing is the hard drive cage, as it was on the S340. There are no drive caddies and therefore can only house 3.5-inch drives. Moving on to the best value enclosure, I feel the P350X from Fantex deserves the spot at 69 bucks over the NZXT H500, simply because it's slightly longer, so you can install more fans at the top. The drive cage is easily accessible from the front with drive caddies. It has built-in lighting that actually is quite tasteful. The interior has expanded over the P300, granting ITX motherboard support with deeper section at the front for cable management. You can install radiators up to 280mm at the front. Cable management is easy, and the only downside is that you cannot install a 360 rat at the front because the shroud is closed. The runner-up is the very basic Micro ITX frame from Colormaster, the Q300L at $39. Now, the interior is fully open to support large PSUs and GPUs. It's nothing fancy, there are no rubber grommets, plus the side panel is acrylic, but I love the fully perforated exterior, so you can have more flexibility on where to mount your fans with these unique looking dust filters too, and even the side I/O can be repositioned. And for ITX and Micro ITX budget systems, the Q300L is a must consideration. Now let's get into the most innovative category. I want to give this one to the Colormaster SL600M because it is not at all what I was expecting, and really appreciate the different direction with the interior layout. So the PSU shroud is relocated to the front, opening up this bottom section for massive intake with those 200mm fans, thus delivering the best cooling for the GPU. You can also rotate that entire PCI bracket for vertical GPUs as long as you get additional riser cables, and I feel this case is all about experimentation and needs refinement, as vertical air column mean the CPU cooler must face up for proper exhaust, or you need to install a 360 rat up top as well. I love the illuminated I/O, the rail system for PSU installation, and the exterior design design. It is kind of risky, but I really want to see more like it. The runner-up is not the case itself because the execution is kind of poor, but the concept of Realtour Morpheus is what I'm more excited about. So this case comes disassembled with a few extra pieces to expand the frame height-wise. In its smaller configuration, you can still fit an ATX motherboard, but with only 5 PCI slots available, so it's perfect for, single GPU systems, while expanding the height is both easy and grants you extra PCI slots for multi-GPU configurations. And I want to see more designs that incorporate this type of frame level flexibility, perhaps going from smaller ITX to full-size ATX with sliding exterior panels like we see with the Morpheus, for extra spacing for radiators and hardware. And I'm really hoping we'll see a derivative of the Morpheus in 2019. Moving on to the water cooling category, the Corsair 1000D is kind of a no-brainer given its massive size and just a frame that's built for multiple radiators thanks to these convenient sliding brackets at the front and the top. They are interchangeable, so you have the flexibility with the size of radiators you can install. The extra height and length of the case means push-pull with really thick radiators is kind of the way to go, with a ton of room available beside the motherboard for reservoirs and pump installations. So this is kind of your super tower that needs a custom loop for dual systems and a fantastic layout behind the tray for cable management with these doors. But a smaller runner-up for water cooling is the latest Define S2 from Fractal Design. They've always delivered a fantastic experience when it comes to user assembly and hardware support, and who doesn't love the simplicity of this exterior? There are several minor changes versus Define R6, but without the hard drive cage. So the S2 is all about radiators at the front, the top, and the bottom, and the rear too. The top bracket has a fill port. There are several mounting strips for a reservoir near the front, and everyone who has built a custom loop in a Fractal enclosure will guarantee an awesome experience. This next section is my collection of wow features. The Deepcool Quad Stellar is highly impractical, difficult to work in, has bad cooling, but is one of the coolest frame designs from 2018 with this mechanized front flaps for airflow and even an app for RGB control and fan RPM. I absolutely love the curved acrylic panel on the View 37 from Thermaltake. Again, this departure from traditional side panels to deliver this wow element is appreciated despite the totally choked front fans and non-existent cable management. The Inwin A1 ITX enclosure has several wow factors like the glass top panel with a built-in Qi charger, a transparent and RGB illuminated bottom section for extra flare, support for normal CPU towers up to 160mm, and an included 600 watt power supply with short cables. While the Streacom.2 is one of the most elegant ITX enclosures with an innovative mounting system using these universal brackets. It's unconventional, a bit uncomfortable during assembly, but the flexibility on what you can use them for is appreciated. Who knew you could comfortably fit a second ITX system above your main motherboard inside the Evolve X by Fantex and then route a riser cable behind the motherboard tray so both systems could have a graphics card. It's very cool, but it does lock you into the Revolt X power supply that can power those both systems. And finally, the angled GPU bracket on the Cosmos C700M is all about show off. Vertical alignment is kind of old news, so why not try this 45-degree wallet cleanser? This even lets you mount it on the side of the motherboard, perhaps for proximity to that front intake, but the consequence is an extremely ugly system. That leads us to the failed compilation of 2018. It's very nice to have handles on the Colormaster Q300P so you can easily carry it into the garbage because those plastic panels want to kill your hardware anyway with no airflow. What's really nice to have for a full glass enclosure? Absolutely no cable management system in place. Whoever designed the level 20 VT has an even lower IQ. All I'm asking for is some effort. The return of Landcool as the budget lineup for Lian Li is great with a nice front panel design, but please reinforce your frame so it's not easily bent, ditch the Molex connector for the RGB controller, and promise we'll have a more interesting name for the next release. The Lian Li O11 Air had everyone's expectations super high despite not having adequate dimensions for the most popular CPU towers, but a larger disappointment came with a dust filter that eats air. Colormaster, please have a team meeting to discuss consistency, because the H500M from a feature standpoint is amazing, but the user experience is so frustrating with 1,000 different panels on the PSU shroud and behind the motherboard tray. Perhaps settle on where to put the RGB controller, because the H500P mesh and the H500P have them all in different spots for no reason. Corsair with the 500D wins an award for the most frustrating top fan bracket installation with non-captive thumb screws and access only from the interior, and no 360 RAT support either, despite the bracket being the same as the front bracket. Revert back to your old days please, just like you did with the tramp stamp logo. I'm actually very happy they fixed the side panel installation on the Carbide 275R, because it is absolutely absurd to have no catching pegs and use an Allen key to tighten 4 screws while holding a pretty heavy TG panel. Hey, be quiet. I love the silence focus on the 601 and 801 cases, but please stop lying to yourself about the front panel airflow, because there is none. I dropped 10 degrees with the front panel removed. Man, I love doing the fail compilation because it's hilarious and really reveals all the crap that's been going on in the case industry. You know, I bring you guys down, but then we spike right back up with the case of the year. So this one, from my eyes, goes to the Lian Li 011 Dynamic. I feel partially because it revived Lian Li as this competitive brand, with the case selling for only $129 while delivering something beautiful and fresh. The two-side glass design is an opportunity to showcase your hardware without sacrificing cooling, as the bottom, top, and the side areas can all mount triple 120mm fans or dual 140mm. The elevated motherboard tray is a brilliant design for cable management and this whole dual chamber separation, as the 011 Dynamic is not much taller or wider than your standard mid-tower, but because the PSU is rotated behind, we have so much more room in this main chamber. There is a Type-C port at the front, a dual PSU option if you remove the drive cage, and many ways to configure your airflow, provided you are air cooling or stick with a CPU tower below 155mm. All the vents are dust covered. I love the slide-in mechanism for the side panels, and this is just an exciting beginning of dual chamber cases that are not conventional for all the right reasons, and the 011 Dynamic from Lian Li deserves our Case of the Year award for 2018. Alright, so that is it for me. I hope you enjoyed this Case Awards for 2018. I'm excited for 2019, and let me know if you agree with my picks. I know there's some cases that did not pass through my hands, but 27 is a lot. For our Canadian audience, Memory Express is a place to go for home, business, and gaming electronics. You can try before you buy, especially great for peripherals, by visiting one of their stores in Winnipeg, Calgary, or Greater Vancouver, and more, with a new Victoria store now open with the same quality of service and product selection. They do custom PCs and will beat any Canadian price, guaranteed. I'm Dimitri, thanks so much for watching. We'll see you guys in the next video.